Welcome back to the show. My guest today, Faisal Susiwala, recently named as the #1 RE/MAX agent worldwide in terms of sales volume and number of homes sold as well. If you'd like a chance to chat with Faisal yourself, you can always start by going to homeshack.com. You can also call Faisal directly, 519-624-5555, or email works as well, Faisal@homeshack.com. Those pre-show notes, Faisal, the first thing that I came to that you'd sent over it was troubling when I took a look at it. The idea that homes, even here in Ontario, homeowners are finding out maybe too late that someone has fraudulently listed their home in the real estate market. What's happening?
Yes, if we go back and look at some of the news articles that have been published on this topic, you'll see homeowners that had homes, they were absent for the summer, for example, and all of a sudden they find out that someone's actually sold their house. We've also seen a lot of mortgage fraud that's happening on seniors. So there's this protection that we have to have in order to secure yourself from being a victim of such fraud. And I have a few suggestions where you can start, investigating whether or not, are you at risk of being
Okay.
fraudulently attacked in that sense. So number one, regularly check the real estate websites like realtor.ca, etc.,
Mhm.
to see if just type in your address and see if there's an unauthorized listing of your home. They may be using the pictures of your home to even rent it out to
Right.
get first and last month's rent from someone. And then those folks show up to look at the house. They've already given the deposit and that home is not there. And this often happens where there's foreign students that are coming in, they're overseas, they don't have the ability to come in and see it. They just basically send their rent to these fraudsters, and somehow your home is the one that was exposed for that.
Wow.
Keep your important documents, such as your deed and title records, in a safe spot. Don't leave it accessible so that, again, look, if somebody wants the information, they're going to find it, but don't make it easy for them.
Right.
Work with reputable agents who can verify the listings and communicate with you regarding the activity related to your property. So if you purchased a home from someone, ask that agent, hey, just punch in my address in your search criteria, and if that listing ever appears on the MLS, you will get an alert because now you're on the system to be alerted on a specific address if it ever comes to market. Nothing different than if you said, Faisal, if that house down the street ever comes on the market, let me know. Well, it's physically impossible for me to look at that address every day, but we have software programs that are at our disposal that I can just simply put that address in. If that listing hits the market at some point, I get an alert. Similarly, you would get that alert.
Okay.
If you notice that your home is listed without your consent, then report it immediately to your authority and also to the real estate board.
Okay.
Just something as simple as doing a Google search once in a while of just type in your address. At the very least, you'll see what the updated Google picture is of your home. But lastly, you're going to find out if somebody's using it for rental purposes or for sale purposes. And then title insurance. We've talked about this in the past, Brock,
Yeah.
where if you don't have a mortgage on your home, if you don't have anything owing on your home, and if you've lived in your home for quite some time, chances are you don't have title insurance. And title insurance is a surefire way of protecting yourself from fraud. Even if somebody puts a mortgage on it, takes funds away, you discover it, even at the time of sale, you have recourse to recover your losses through this title insurance. Again, speak to your lawyer and get the information on that. Just stay vigilant, keep informed. We're in a time now where all of this information is readily available to us, which also makes it easy for fraudsters to get your
Right.
information. But it's the onus is always on you to ensure that you're watching this. And even your home insurance company can offer certain protection on fraud. But I think the first step should be you do your homework, you get title insurance on your property and protect your own interest.
And it doesn't take you long. And when I was reading through the notes today, I did just that. Typed in realtor.ca, put in our address, and luckily our house isn't for sale. And that what is I mean, just to come across something like that, it's got to be almost surreal. You think that how is that even possible? But we know that it's happening. If we take a look at, we've talked about, the homeowners that are out there right now, and the renters. I know there was some statistics you had sent over to me from StatsCan, that there's this really stark wealth divide between people that are even younger, the younger generation, and our generation, should we say, between what homeowners have in the bank, or what their sort of wealth is compared to renters. And maybe you could break those numbers down for us.
Yeah, like homeowners under 35 have a median net worth of $457,000 compared to just 44,000 for renters. So you're really 10 times less if you are a renter as opposed to a 35-year homeowner. Now, amongst those that are 55 to 64, homeowners net worth reaches 1.24 million with renters at only 43,000. So that's a massive disparity between 55 to 64. You own a home, chances are your net worth is going to be around 1.25 million. If you don't own a home, chances are your net worth is going to be under $50,000. So all the more reason to get into to the home ownership. And then if we continue with that, home ownership surpasses even employer-sponsored pension plans in terms of wealth. So with homeowners average net worth of 914,000 compared to 359 for those who have pensions but without home ownership. So again, you're at
Right.
1/3, and this is at retirement. Imagine retiring and your net worth is at 359,000 because you're just relying on the pension your entire life. So this underscores the urgency for younger Canadians to secure home ownership. There's no other way to build some sort of security wealth in this country unless you write some sort of software app and you come up with something that's going to make you hundreds of millions of dollars. Really slow and steady wins the race. And I think, getting into home ownership, it may not be what you want right now, but it is important to find a way to get into the real estate market somehow. Over the last 5 years, 64% of people have. Sorry, can we start over here?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So we'll just I'm going to make a note too. That's at 33, 32, 34. And chop out. All right. Chop out. One section. All right. And we can pick up from you just talking about the 64%.
Okay, so I'm just going to start the report underscores.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
that sounds good. And we'll come back to it in 3, 2, 1.
So the report underscores the urgency for younger Canadians to secure homeownership amid soaring real estate prices, which have increased by 30% over the last 5 years and 64% over the last decade. So the rising costs has limited access to the housing market, causing concerns about long-term wealth accumulation. And policymakers strive to address housing affordability, but again, we're seeing that these prices are just going to continue to rise 64% in the past 10 years. This is really an opportunity, although, this setback that we've had over the last 2 years where prices dropped 30% should be an eye opener for folks to say, okay, we better jump in now, because when the rates drop back down to 3%, which is expected by the end of 2026, there's a very good chance that we're going to be up 30%. So
Right.
putting your money to a real estate vehicle now is certainly going to pay off dividends in long term.
And we've talked about this before, the idea of the younger generation really not being able to, in some cases, get into the game. And I know that another thing that you've noticed that maybe some retired clients that they're looking at, giving their kids this sort of living inheritance, and maybe, with the idea that maybe that might be enough to kind of get you into the real estate game. But I know that there's some hesitation for you when it comes to these living inheritances as well.
Yes, and I'm all for sharing the wealth and giving your kids the opportunity. But lately, and I mentioned earlier, I've been doing this for 36 years now. Many of my clients who were in their 30s are now in their 70s. And those clients of mine who are great people, very generous people, want to look after their children. I've seen an increasing and disturbing trend. They've given too much to their kids
Right.
to a point where the kids may not have had the financial maturity to do the right thing with that money or right things with that money. Secondly, they spent it in the wrong ways and didn't really put in real estate, and went and bought vacation properties, cars, boats, etc., and having a good time. And if, I always say, if my kids are going to do that, let's do that after I'm gone so I don't have to watch them blow my money. So while I'm alive, I'm going to have lots of control over what they're doing with their lives, financially anyways. But I'm seeing that disturbing trend where that's happening. So my recommendation now, the biggest thing that disturbs me when I see my 75 and 80-year-old clients who have done this, they themselves are suffering. They're
Right.
going into a retirement home, and instead of having that nice, luxurious $4,000 or $5,000 a month retirement facility where everything is taken care of for them, they're going into either government assisted or going into not such great lodges or retirement homes. And because they didn't think about longevity of their life.
Yeah.
So they may have gone into a home at 80 thinking, well, I got another 3 to 5 years to live, but then they're living to 90 or 92 and they're running out of money, and then knock on the kid's door. And unfortunately, not saying they don't want to help, but those kids don't have enough equity because they may have refinanced or done whatever they've done in their lives that they can't really help mom and dad now pay for the retirement home. So these
Yeah.
are all considerations. So think about your own health care. Think about your long-term care. Think about what your retirement's going to look like and what you plan on doing. If you plan on traveling and seeing the world and doing all those things in your retirement, and if you've given up your nest egg, then you may not have that ability to do that. So again, just sit down, with a financial advisor, look at the long-term plan, understand the cost of living for the
Right.
balance of your life, and make those considerations as part of your will to your kids.
Great advice. We always get the great advice from Faisal. Uh, we're going to take a final break. Right here on Ask the Experts, when we come back, heading back to the office, what that might and might not look like. You're listening to Ask the Experts here on 570 News Radio.